IVM.
In 2019, you basically have two choices. You can either go for therapy or start your own podcast. I'm Natasha Malpani Oswal, and this is my personal diary. I wrote a very honest poetry book called Boundless this year, where I poured my deepest and darkest fears into the poems. I'll take you through some of my favorite poems and the secrets behind them in this podcast. We explore falling in love, the dark side of beauty, families, money, making room to make mistakes, heartbreak, and finding your own voice. Don't say I didn't warn you. It gets deep. This episode is about the pain and pleasure of long distance. Distance. I can't see your face, but I hear your smile. Can you feel my longing for your touch? On edge, waiting for your call, counting time, always sleepless, addicted to your voice. Can you guess what the hardest thing I've ever done is? What's harder than starting a company, building a team, writing a book, doing an MBA at Stanford? Hands down, the hardest thing I've ever done was doing long distance with my now husband. We started dating when he was in Bombay and I was in London. So we literally fell in love over the phone. Getting to know someone just through their voice is actually very beautiful. You focus more on the words, pauses, tone, rather than the way they look. Just like you're doing here with me. This, by the way, is why I'm such a big believer in podcasts and the power of audio. Shout out to IVM. But also, my husband just refused to FaceTime. So literally all I had was his voice. And it was really tough. We talked 3 or 4 hours every day, without fail, despite the time difference. I skipped meals. I was always distracted at work and with our friends. It was hard to be present when I was always thinking about someone halfway across the world. I remember I used to jump slightly every time I got a message or call, just waiting to hear from him. And to his credit, he was always there, waiting to talk. Even on his bachelor trip, much to the dismay of his friends. Conversations are powerful. We connected because we went deep quickly. And we trusted each other instinctively. It was lonely. I do think touch matters. But I loved hearing his laugh. And his pauses had the power to keep me on edge. When he moved to London, adjusting to being together was so much easier because we'd already had all the conversations we needed to. Honestly, we talk less now that we live together. So I'd say, forget the fancy dates, dinners, movies. They're just a distraction. In a relationship, you know this already. Communication is the foundation. Sometimes even more than attraction. Talk on the phone. You'll know your partner much better and more quickly. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on our social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to reach out to me, I am Natasha_Malpani on Twitter and at Natasha Malpani Oswal on Instagram. Stay tuned.
The modern world is obsessed with food and agriculture. Everywhere you look, new and exciting technologies are bringing food innovation to your street market, your grocery store, your doorstep, and your plate. From our quest for the perfect food photos to our rediscovery of ancient grains. Quite simply, food has never been sexier. But guess what? The modern food system is broken. It's a major cause of climate change, antibiotic resistance, and global poverty. So how did we get here? And where are we going? Most importantly, how are we going to feed 10 billion people globally by the year 2050 through better, more sustainable means. I'm Varun Deshpande.
And I'm Ramya Ramurthy. And we work for the Good Food Institute, a global non-profit accelerating the transformation to a more healthy, sustainable, and just food system. The next food revolution is here. On Feeding 10 Billion, we're giving you the inside view. You can tune into us every Tuesday on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Advertising is dead. Yep, you heard me right. Advertising is dead. We're all in the content business now. Let's not call it news, TV, radio, etc., etc. It's all content, and we're in the middle of this weirdly exciting phase where all the borders and lines that have been drawn over decades has been swept away by this lovely thing called the internet. We're a show where we don't dwell on just the stuff that is now, but rather the wider stuff about advertising, media, content, and the whole goddamn circus surrounding it. Tune in every Tuesday for our weekly unboxing of the mystery box we used to call advertising. I'm Varun Dugirala, co-founder and content chief at The Glitch, and this is my new podcast, Advertising is Dead.